So we've got a bit of a fabrication job to do here. So we've got to make or remake one of these. So this is a frame off the side of a tractor. So it'd sit like that on the tractor. When it's on the tractor, the back wheel is there and the front wheel is there. And that goes between like the front wheel and the back wheel onto the chassis. And that bolts onto the chassis rail. It goes on like a John Deere 6250R or something like that, I think. Can't quite remember what number it is. But yeah, the customer's made this just to get him going. And what it does is when you have like your seed drill on, your seed drill's on the back, and then on the front he has a hopper that the seed goes in, and then it has a blower that blows the seed from the back, from the front of the tractor to the back of the tractor. And what this thing does is it holds the tube that goes from the front to the back. So he just made this one to get him going for the season, and now he wants me to make a bit better one. I don't think he's done too bad a job of making this, to be fair, but anyway, he wants a better one making. So this one is made out of box section. He said he wanted to make it slide in and out so he could remove it and just leave this frame on, but he said it was too flimsy, so then he's welded this bit of box in to support it. He says the one I make, it doesn't matter, it just doesn't need to be removable, just make it same as this. So yeah, it's angle iron across the top, and then box section, and then bits of flat, and then box section, and then I think I cut him that plate out that bolts onto the chassis, and then it goes sit in there. I've got mine drawn up, and the way I'm going to do mine, I think, is I'm just going to cut it out of 5mm plate, and then I'll put a press on it across the top, and then it needs some holes in there, but I'll maybe drill them after. And then that's box section, and then these are going to be channel that I cut out of 5mm and press as well to give it some strength. Up there, and then up there. I haven't got this end drawn yet, but I can sort of make that bit up as I go along. I've copied these bits off there because he's sort of made this on the tractor, so he's made it to fit around the wheels. So I think the front wheel, when it turns, if that's any lower down, it'd catch on there. So I've followed that, made it the same, and then just put the triangles out to make it a bit lighter. And then I've copied the same angle as well. It's like 100 degrees or 10 degrees off 90 degrees. Yeah, I've got all them parts, well, them 4 parts put onto there. Got me plasma set up, so we'll cut them out. Right, so that's them cut out. So we'll lift them out. I've got my bench cleaned off. So there's a press to do on the top of there, and then these bits to press. I just need to make sure I press them on the right side to get them to correspond with how it's drawn. I need to make sure I press that on the right side as well. Otherwise it'll be on the wrong side of the tractor. Right, I've got all them marked up now with the pressings on. So I could mark them on with the engraver on there, but I find it easier just to mark them on by hand. Sometimes the pressings that I draw on there, depends what I've got, if I've got the radius set right, don't always match up for the pressings on my press. If I've got the radius set too much or too little, so sometimes they're in the wrong place anyway. So I'll press one, make sure it's in the right place, and if it's not, then on the other pieces I can alter it a little bit. I usually have the press on the big V for doing heavier stuff, but at the moment it's set on the next one down, which I can't really be bothered to change it just for doing these presses. But I don't have the press settings, or all the press settings that I have written on the side don't correspond to this V, so it's a bit of guesswork with this as well. That was the test piece that I pressed. That's out at 6mm, so I just knocked the settings back a little bit for doing these because these are only 5mm, and it should be something similar to that. Right, that's them pressed, and that's them laid on there. So somehow it seems I've pressed them on the wrong way, the wrong side. When you look at the top of there, that angle's up the wrong way. Not that it's a problem, I'll just have to cut that angle on the right way. It needs to go up more anyway because there's an 80/80 bit of box section to go in there, which at the moment there isn't room. So that needs to go up more anyway. That just wants a bit trimming off there to make that fit, but I've also pressed this one the wrong way as well. That should have been the bottom and that should have been the top. But I can make it work. They just want a bit rounding out of there. And I'll just trim that bit off so that'll butt up again there. Get them parallel down there. And then there's a bit to trim off there. But I studied them out and you can see the press mark there, and I made sure I had it the right way, laid out the right way on the bench before I marked the press. So I don't know why I pressed them the wrong way, but I can still make them work. It's not a problem at all. That should look quite good, and it should be strong. Right, I've got them clamped in then, so there's a little gap there, but I can fill that in. And then chopped a bit out there, I can fill that in. I'm going to chop a little bit too much out. But yeah, the rest of them fit nice now. So that's all alright. There is a bit more gap there than there is there. But when I look at the drawing, I know it's not quite as bad on here, but there is more at that side than there is at that side. Just not quite got that centralised. Takes a bit of drawing when you're doing like, what do you call it, sheet metal. But that's on the back side anyway, so you'll never see it. So no, that should do that. Should be nice and strong, and then a bit of 80x80 box section going here. That way it'll mount it onto the tractor. I've just been to get some lights this morning to replace them ones that have gone out. There's two there gone out, one over there that's gone out. So I've got one of these just to try, that type, like a high bay light they're called. I think that one is 15,000 lumens and it's 100 watt. So we'll put that one up there. Hopefully it'll be high enough. They have to be quite high for the light to distribute properly, otherwise you end up with spots that are not lit up. I got two 5-foot twin LEDs, which is these ones here. So see what they're like. Put one of them there and then the other one over there. I think they were like 30 pounds, something like that. That other high bay one was like 3 times as expensive. That was like £90 for that one. One's a 60 watt. And don't know how many lumens that one is. No, 7,200 lumens. So that one's twice as bright, but 3 times as expensive. And they're both 5000K, which I think is the colour of them. Just using the JCB to muck out with at the moment, so as soon as that's free, I'll get the man basket on and then I'll get my dad to lift me up and wire them in. So I've just noticed now, didn't notice before, but it's not quite pressed to 90. So I'm just going to take them off again, put it back in the press and give it another press and get it a bit nearer. Which will also mean, if that's folded over a bit more, pressed a bit more, this will be a bit further down and it'll fill in that gap a bit better and it'll move it down here a bit. Right, that's better. It's not quite there, but it's near enough. By the time that's pulled down, I think it'll be about there. So yeah, I'll make that do. I'll brush that, like the smoky stuff off that CNC's left, plasma's left, and then get them tacked on. Right, that's them just tacked on, just at either end for now. So I'll cut this box section that goes in here now, which is like that box section there, and then I'll have to work out how I'm going to do this bit. I haven't got any box section that size. That is like 60mm box. The smallest I've got is 80, so but 80 won't fit on in between there for where the bolts are, so whether I press a bit, not quite sure what to do with that yet. I'm just trying to use the bit of box that I've got rather than having to order a bit just for one piece. So that fits in there like that, and then I can weld all the way around that, all the way around that, and around that as well. I might chop this bottom bit off, just a bit too much there, chop that off, and then that's that. Right, we've got them lights up now. So that one is very bright, but I think it's barely high enough. But then when you look at the light from that one, this one is adequately bright enough for a workshop. Compared to that one, when that one's 3 times as much, costs 3 times as much as this one, I think we're better off with them. More of them to replace these, because they're pretty dull now, and still got that one to do over there. But yeah, I don't think they are very bright, but I don't think they're worth the money compared to what they are. So the trouble with that new light now is it's that bright that it casts a shadow. Right, so I'm just drawing this end piece now where it bolts onto the chassis rail of the tractor, and I was going to do it like that, and then 6 bolts and then a bit of plate in there, and then the box section welded onto the plate, because this one, there's a bit of box section welded underneath that bit of box section welded to that plate. So if I could make that weld onto there, I thought it'd be a bit more simple. But it depends how much, because on the chassis rail of a John Deere, chassis rail's there, and the top of the chassis rail is pressed out over. So I'm not sure, because I've used bigger box section, the top of this is higher than what this is. So whether it's going to interfere with the chassis rail, I'm not sure. I'll go and measure off our John Deere, but ours is a smaller tractor than what this fits on, so the chassis rails might be different. But if I measure from sort of the centre of the hole to the underneath of the press, I might be able to get an idea. So this is our John Deere. He's got a winch on at the moment. They've been winching timber out the wood. But yeah, if you look in here, this frame, it goes on the side of the tractor here, so it goes through there. That's why it's sort of got to miss the front wheel, comes out the side, and then goes down like that towards the front of the tractor. But you can see the chassis rails, what I mean. So it'll bolt onto, not sure which holes it'll bolt onto. Some of them, 6 of them. But then this press at the top here. So if I need to measure from the centre of that hole up to there and see how much space I have, providing the bigger tractor is the same as what this is. This is a 6155R. So I've got like 40 mil-ish from the centre of that hole up to the bottom of that press, or a bit more, but 40 mil's safe. So when I measure this one, sort of height off that box section at the back there, it's less than 40 mil, so yeah. I've got mine drawn, mine's 70 mil, so I'll have to move it up a little bit. Good job I checked that, otherwise it probably wouldn't have fit. Yes, I think I'm happy with that. I've checked my measurements and I think I'm right now, so yeah, I'll get some 10 mil plate, cut that plate out, and this like guts it out, and then we'll probably weld that onto the box section first before we weld the box section onto here. So a couple of videos ago I repaired this baler. I did these bits, and when we ran it up it looked like the gearbox was wobbling about a little bit. Just had a quick look in it now while I was walking past it. I gave this a wobble. Now I looked around it all and I couldn't see any cracks anywhere, but you wobble that bit and you can see the gearbox moving. But anyway, underneath here there's 2 bolts that fasten it onto this bit, and then 2 bolts that fasten it onto this bit. You see that bracket there has a bracing on it that adds a lot of strength to it, but one bolt was loose and the other bolt's missing, so it had lost all that rigidity out of it. And that's why the gearbox was wobbling. So I've tightened that bolt up, the one that's still in it, I've tightened it up and it doesn't wobble now. So think that was all that was wrong with that. So I just need to find another bolt, which I'm guessing it won't be metric. I'm guessing it'll be UNC, I would have thought. But I might take that one out that was loose, see what thread it is, and see if I can find a bolt to match to go in the other side. And then that should be right. The customer's coming for it either this week or next week, so I just thought I'd have a quick look again, see if I could see anything wrong with it, and that's what I found. So that's good that I found something. So that bolt out of that baler, it says UNC and it also says 8.8. I've never seen an Imperial bolt that has 8.8 written on it. Anyway, I found one with the right thread. I've got to chop it down a little bit. So that should, I'll put that in. I'll put a bit of thread lock on it, put a spring washer on it as well, and then that should cure that. Right, I've got that bolt in under there. It was real awkward to get in. I managed to get one of them clamps round, but it wasn't quite lining up. There was like quarter of a hole out. So I managed to get a clamp around there, or around the back, clamp it up and pull them together. And then still took a bit of doing getting the bolt in, but anyway. So it's got 2 bolts in there, 2 bolts in there, 2 in there. It's got all the bolts in now, and they're all tight. So that is a lot more rigid. So yeah, that was the issue. You see that one in there has a gusset on the back of it to strengthen it, where this one doesn't. So it was, because it wasn't tightened down to that one, the whole lot was just flexing, and then it was flexing all that lot as well. But yeah, that's that sorted. Someone asked in last week's video about it, so I thought I'd just show you getting it sorted. Right, so I've got them bits set up. I've got some 10mm plate on there. I'll cut them out of that, get that done. Feels like I've got nothing done today. Took my car down for MOT this morning. I fixed everything that needed fixing for the MOT. Took it down and it failed again. This time the spring on the opposite side snapped on the way down to get an MOT. So I really do hate cars. Right, so I've got them 2 plates cut. Now I need to weld the box section onto here. So I thought it'd be a good excuse to use some of my fixturing. So I've got them set up the same on that line. So this is square with that. So now if I sit this box section on there, I'll have to just set some spaces between it. So I get a welding gap down there, 5mm space to weld down. And then yeah, sit my box on there, push it back to there, clamp it up with that, so that should be square. And then I maybe just square it that way with a normal square. And then yeah, tack it on and weld it round. A bit rusty is this box, so I'm going to give it a sand down first. Right, that's that tacked on there. I put the seam of the box section at the bottom so you won't see it. And then this bit, it's going to go in there like that. I'm just going to put a bit of a press on that end to bring it down a bit, so then it's in the middle, because otherwise, if I just put it up again like that, which I was thinking I maybe would do, but then it's not in the middle, which it's not really an issue. I just think it'd look better if it was in the middle, so I'm going to put a little press on that end. I might actually cut another one of these out that looks better, because I don't like how that's just 45. I would have preferred it to be, you know, a bit fancier looking. I've got that set up back on there, and I've got it set to cut this bit out here, so it should hopefully make that bit look like that bit. Yeah, that looks better. So just wants a bit of press putting on there now, and then I'll just round that bit off with a belt sander. Yeah, so that press there now has got that to be in the middle of here. So that'll do that. So I'll get that welded round. I'll have to take a bit of the corner off that, and then I'll get that welded on. And then we'll get that welded up. And then have to set this up somehow. Probably with one of them squares again to get this square onto that. Right, so that's that welded round. So yeah, I think what I'll do now is I'll move that over a bit into a better position, and then get this set up, and then I can use these squares again to get this square onto that. And then once this is tacked on, then we can just weld around everything all in one go. Right, so we've got that tacked on there using that square, so that square that way. I put the square in there, squared it that way. So that's that. Well, I haven't tacked it on yet, but it's clamped on. So what I was going to do is I was going to put a box section from there to there, but I haven't got any box section suitable. So what I'm going to do instead is, instead of a box like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a bit out like that and press it across the edge there, and then weld that in as a gusset instead. Should be plenty of strength in that. In here I've set the material, what I've got to make it out of, which is steel. So if I highlight all, it tells me that it's going to weigh 63.296 kilograms. So it's not going to be that heavy. I should just be able to get that cut out of that offcut triangle that came out of there. So that should work out well. Right, so that's that tacked in there as well now. And I've tacked that box onto it as well, so it's all tacked up. So I don't think I'm going to weld it all up, I don't think there's any point. So I'm going to mark on where I'm going to do my stitch welds so they're all even and spaced out nicely. And then yeah, weld all this up and then turn it level and then weld that bit in. Right, I've got all that marked up where my welds are going to go, so yeah, we'll get on and weld it up now. So I've got all that welded up now. The stitches didn't need to be as long as that, but I always think they look better with long stitches than they do with short stitches. So I might drill some holes. I think I will do. I'll drill some holes in these as well, because if water gets in where I haven't welded and it runs down to the bottom, it will fill up with water in that bottom bit. So I'll drill a hole in there, same in there, and then I'll probably drill a hole in the bottom of that box as well. Then I haven't welded up across the bottom of there, so if that fills up, it'll run out of there. And then I'll drill a hole in there as well. So yeah, there's just that to weld up now. But it's to come off the bench anyway, so I might as well tip it the right way up and then weld that when it's the right way up. So yeah, that's all welded up pretty nice. Right, so that is all the welding done then on this. That's a nice looking weld. Yeah, that's everything welded up. I've drilled a hole in the bottom of there, and then I've also drilled a hole in there. I'm just going to go over the whole thing now with a grinder, just smooth any sharp edges off. Just go over it all, and then I'll tip it back over and I'll drill a hole in the bottom of that box section as well. And then that's about done. Right, that's all smoothed off now with the grinder, and that's finished, apart from painting it. But I'm not going to do that today because I've got this back in again. So I think it was on the end of last week's video I was saying about it failed its MOT because it needed a new spring and a bush on the bottom suspension arm and new brake pads and new discs. I took it for another test. Well, I ran out. You get 10 days on your retest, and I ran out of the 10 days, so it had to have a new MOT again. But then on the way to the MOT, the other spring snapped on the other side, so it failed again. So I want to try and get this fixed within the 10 days this time, and then don't have to pay for a complete new MOT. It'll just go through on it, retest. So yeah, I've just been to get a new spring and a set of spring compressors. Last time, the other side, I had to take the strut down to get the garage to take the spring off, but now I should be able to take the spring off myself. I've just spoke to the customer about that, and he's got a lad that works for him that's good at spraying, so yeah, he's going to spray that himself, or his lad's going to spray it for him, so that saves me a job, because you all know how much I like painting stuff. So yeah, that's that done, finished. Right, that's it for this week's video. You'll be pleased to know my car has actually finally passed its MOT test. I don't really need it so much now I've got a pickup, but it'll be worth more with 12 months MOT on it if I sell it. Then my pickup's not very good on diesel. It does like half the miles per gallon, but it is twice the horsepower, so I might keep the Golf just for a little cheap runabout. But yeah, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.